my experience with depression started around 2005. Growing up as a kid, I was surrounded by an environment where people around me were doing it tough. My parents moved from Italy to Australia with nothing except for their suitcase, and they tried to make a better life for themselves through the only thing they knew, which was farming. I grew up watching my parents work hard, however, always worried, stressed about their crops, their finances, etc. Also at the age of 12, I was diagnosed with kyphosis, or curvature of the spine, which led to some self-esteem issues through my teenage years. But amongst all this, we as a family had many fun times growing up, so it wasn't all bad, it was more good than bad, yeah? So you see, as kids, what we see and hear become our files within our filing system. It becomes our habits on how to deal with life and our personal issues. As a teenager, young adult, I grew up having a great time with my mates. These are the times where we don't have a care in the world. We have no responsibilities. We're indestructible. By 2005, I'd been married to my wife Helen for 11 years. And we had two beautiful children, or we still do have two beautiful children. Zoe, who was 4, and Milan, who was 2. It was around this time that I started to notice some changes. I now had my own responsibilities. House mortgage, bills, raising a family, etc. So how did I handle my problems? Well, you see, the same way I see my parents handle theirs. So it was always with anxiety, I was always stressed, worried, and to top it off, I was a perfectionist. Now, hands up, who in this room would classify themselves as a perfectionist? So there's a few there, but yeah. Anyway, being a perfectionist had more stress to all areas of our life. So it's now that I hit my brick wall. You see, I went to see Mark, who was at the time was my doctor, feeling stressed, fatigued. I had tightness in my chest, waking up during the night. It was then that Mark informed me that I might be suffering from depression. I can remember Mark telling me people who are perfectionists, people who worry a lot, people who are always stressed are prime candidates for depression. And a red flag for depression is being unable to sleep or having broken sleep. Well, I thought to myself, this is me all over. And being that person then, I started worrying about my sleep, worrying about what was going on, and proceeded through the next 16 days without sleeping. I continued to go to work during this time as a supervisor of the postie, starting at 4 a.m. Luckily, I had told my boss and my work colleagues the issues I was having, and they had the sense of not letting me ride on the motorbike. Otherwise, I'd be probably landed in the bitumen at Burns and Basalt Street or something. So I would get home, I'd feel tired. However, I'd lay down, my mind would go to However, I would lay down, my mind would be thinking, go to sleep. My heart would start pounding, the adrenaline start throwing through my body, but feeling like that, I was no hope of sleeping. So Mark put me on the medication, and gradually I started to feel better. I read, as men, we don't tend to talk about depression, that we are ashamed and that it gives us an image that we are weak. However, I saw it differently. My idea was that if I could stop anyone else going through what I was going through by sharing my story, well, that's got to be better than just keeping it to myself. Well, why would I keep it to myself? To protect myself or being afraid of what other people were going to think of me? It's pretty ridiculous. And that's why I shared it with my workmates and why I'm standing here tonight. So as time went by, I needed to find out more about depression. I needed to know how did this all come about. I spent numerous hours researching online about depression. However, sometimes too much information is as bad as the problem itself. I came to the conclusion that my depression was created by my habits, my filing system, which I referred to earlier, my inner thoughts and my feelings. I then came across a book called Mind Powers by Genio. This book and this gentleman has changed my life. You see, I discovered how powerful our minds really are. You see, if a farmer plants a pumpkin seed, well, what does his crop produce? Pumpkins. Or if he plants a tomato seed, what's he going to get? Tomatoes. Well, it's the same with our minds. If we are always thinking of thoughts of worry, anxiety, lack, and fear, then that's what we're planting inside of us. And if that's the case, what sort of crop was I to expect? A life of worry, anxiety, lack, and fear. By this stage, life was getting better, so I decided to go off my tablet slowly. I fall back into my comfort zone, not doing my mind exercises, not doing what I had learned. My life was getting busier, my bad thoughts making a comeback. Before I knew it, 9 months down the track, bang. Broken sleep, stressed, unhappy, back to where I started. You see, the life I created was made over a period of, let's say, 40 years. I've created these thought habits that are well and truly ingrained in me. This book taught me techniques on how to change these habits and how to create a better life for myself, how to handle my worry, my fear, my lack and my anxiety. However, if I thought I was going to do these techniques for a couple of months and think that everything would now be fixed, then I was sadly mistaken. I was now back on the tablets to get myself settled. However, I was more determined to fight this battle. In 2009, my wife Helen asked me if I was interested in doing some self-development courses. It was about 6 courses over a period of 18 months. There were 3 courses that really caught my eye. One was about trading shares in foreign exchange, a warrior camp course to be held in Malaysia, and another course was called Master Your Mind. Well, the warrior camp in Malaysia was amazing. Some of the tasks we had to do there really challenged me. For example, we had to climb a tree to a platform that was about 15 metres in the air, and then leap from this platform and try to grab this object that was dangling there in front of me. Well, I mean, I'm flat out getting up the top of the roof of the house. Going up's all right, coming down's a bit tougher. So anyway, we were only wearing a harness tied to this rope. So now after jumping and just dangling from this tree until you just get down. So you see, my mind was saying to myself, or my mind was telling me, or was thinking, you know what, you're mad, mate, you're going to die. However, somehow I had to defeat it and tell myself that I could do it. The trading in shares I'm still doing now, and the Master Your Mind course was actually run by Genio. It was the same guy of the book I read, or the book I had read 3 years earlier. You see, sometimes it's a fairly small world. So the one thing that came up in all these courses was how powerful our minds really are, and how it can take you out of anything. It probably has 157 reasons why we cannot do something or why we are not good enough. Our minds know our deepest inner secrets, and our mind will think thoughts from the time we wake up until the time we go to sleep. Now, if we don't consciously input good thoughts into our mind, then our minds will just feed themselves. So where does it get its food from? Well, it's probably from our environment. And if you've noticed, our environment today is very negatively orientated. We live in a very negative world. TV, magazines, the news. And that is why it is our responsibility to feed our mind good thoughts. Thoughts such as abundance, prosperity, confidence, and gratitude, success. You will never find a successful or confident person thinking negative or defeated thoughts. At the time of the Master Your Mind course, Helen and I purchased some box CDs about mind powers by Genio. We sat down, listened to the CDs, and started to practice the exercises daily, exactly as they were meant to be done. Yet by this stage, it was about the 3rd time I had read the book, and now listening to the CDs. However, every time I did, it would ingrain in me at a deeper level, and I was always learning something new. This time I was more determined. I wanted to plant good seeds inside of me. Seeds of abundance, prosperity, success, confidence, and gratitude. I wanted a better life. We now do these mind exercises every day. I haven't felt better physically or mentally for a very long time. So today, in today's world, we get told how important physical exercise is to our well-being, and I agree 100%. However, I also believe it is just as important to do mental exercises also every day. It only takes 20 to 30 minutes a day to do these exercises, and the awareness during the day that when I think a negative thought, that I use what I learned to counteract it. Today I try to lead a balanced life, including work and business, spending time with my family, my faith, giving and helping others, fun, play, and rest and relaxation. I eat healthy most of the time using the 80-20 rule, which is 80% of the time good and 20% not so good. I take quality supplements to replenish what I don't get from my food. I do physical exercise 4 to 5 days a week, my mental exercises every day, and try to get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. Now, do I still have bad days? You bet I do. Do I think negative thoughts? Yeah, like tonight, same as one of the other speakers. I mean, I spent most of the afternoon thinking, big crowd, great speech, and just visioning what I wanted to happen. So, and I've learned how to deal with them. So I know how to counter a negative thought. You see, you cannot stop the thoughts that enter our minds. However, we can choose not to give them power by reacting to them. A negative thought only has power when we react to it. We can also consciously enter any good thought we want into our mind. It is not easy doing these exercises. It takes great discipline, persistence, and your mind is not thrilled that you're doing these exercises. However, the payoff is life-changing. I am living proof that what I have learnt about mind powers is true. When I was thinking negative, defeated thoughts, that's the person I became in real life. Now that I've changed the way I think, it has also changed the files inside my filing cabinet, which has changed me for the better. You see, our inner world, which is our thoughts and our vibrations, are connected to our outer world, which is our circumstances and situations. You must be willing to tackle your problems. Sadly, only 2 out of 10 people will try to better themselves, and the other 8 are happy just to cruise along in their comfort zone and just let life take its course, which is absolutely okay. However, remember, the types of seed we sow will be the harvest that we produce. Now, to finish up, I would just like to say that people with depression, we are not weak. We have nothing to be ashamed about. Actually, we are warriors. We are people engaged in a battle. It may be the greatest battle of our lives. However, a warrior will also do whatever it takes to win the battle. A warrior is disciplined. A warrior is persistent, and more importantly, a warrior never ever gives up. Thank you.